That was louder than I expected. Well, hopefully you guys like the cans opening there.
Yep.
We're gonna see if we're gonna make that a thing.
Today we're gonna be talking about Venom, and
Unfortunately,
we definitely waited a long time to go see it because I think we can both agree our expectations were rock bottom.
my expectations were a little bit higher than rock bottom because I like Tom Hardy.
Well,
And he's a good actor, but an actor is only so good with certain writing.
I guess is to talk about it, like expectations coming up to the movie. Whenever they first announced it and they said, "Yeah, it's Venom," I said, "Hell
Here
yeah."
we go.
And then they said Tom Hardy, and I said, "Hell yeah." And then they said it was the director from, what was it, 50 Shades of Grey?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and that's when
Didn't
I
even
went,
think about that.
we might have some problems.
Well, and then I realized no Spider-Man.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, it's not going to be a Spider-Man film. It's about Venom. Like, I got that from the get-go, and I figured that Spider-Man wasn't going to be in it because it was Sony
versus, Marvel.
in association with Marvel. So it's, they might not drag in Spider-Man himself because
What do
now
you
it's
what do you
Tom
think of
Holland.
it?
So, as far as Venom,
Yeah.
well, of course, that's the movie we're talking about. Venom was not good. There were glimpses of greatness throughout it. Just moments where I went, you know what? If they just kept going with that, or if they focused on it just a little bit more, or they didn't do the rest of the stuff that they're doing and filled it with other things, I might actually enjoyed it a lot more. What about you?
I agree. It was it felt like the whole time they were missing something or they were going to the wrong avenue with things. Some of the action I actually pretty enjoyed a lot.
I was going to say, so what things did you enjoy the most?
The action was nice.
worked for you?
Again, not every single scene, but most of the scenes, the action I really enjoyed. I felt like it really, it's Venom. Like the way he walked, the way he fought, like that was very Venom-esque. The way he climbed buildings, like it wasn't swinging. It was very Venom-esque. Like I think they got
the mountain or the building.
I think they got that part right. Other than that, the story was lacking. It started off okay. It built Tom Hardy's character decently, and then it just he just fell. Like there was no real explanation. I mean, there was an explanation, but he just fell. Too fast and too hard. Like he lost all of his character types they built up, and then he slowly got them back.
Yeah, I can see that. So for me, actually, what worked in the film was every part of Tom Hardy dealing with Venom was perfectly fine. I'm completely okay with it. I liked the way that they dealt with each other. Like, that inner argument that they had with one another. I actually enjoyed all of that. Yeah, sure, it's comical most of the time, except for certain scenes where it gets a little bit serious. But, I mean, it's comical enough that I really enjoyed that. Whereas the rest of the script, everything else was garbage. I mean, just white hot garbage. And so some of the script works, some of it didn't. And you said that you liked the fighting, right? I didn't like any of the fighting. I hated every single part of
Let me rephrase that. I liked the action when it was Venom fighting. I didn't like the action when Tom Hardy was looking at his hands and stuff was going around everywhere.
Yeah,
but when Venom was all Venom and that fighting scene, I liked that.
See, I didn't like those because I felt like I've seen this before. I've seen this plenty of times before, and I don't really need to. It's been done. That's probably the best way to say it. And that doesn't mean that you can't do it again, but it didn't bring anything to the table. It didn't bring any Venom to it. That's why I liked the initial fight scene with Tom Hardy and the goons that are in his apartment, right? And we've seen that in the trailers, so this isn't spoilers yet. Fuck you. But where whenever he's fighting and all this stuff is flying out of him, that to me screamed like, wow, okay, this is Venom. This is different. This is new. This is what Venom would do if he was fighting. And sure, they're getting to know each other, so he doesn't get it yet. He doesn't understand this part of him. but it's interesting, and that's you don't see that a lot with Venom. You don't see like the whole mandibles and stuff like that coming out of him as much as you see that with Carnage, for instance.
Yeah.
Carnage, I mean, you think of Carnage, you think of mandibles and shit hanging off of him,
Yeah.
and tentacles going everywhere, and that's. I get it. A lot of people didn't think, oh, that's Venom right there, but I like that a lot.
So that among like what else do you feel that worked for you in that movie?
That was it.
That's it?
That's all I can say. That I sat there watching the movie and said, you know what, I'm okay with this. The rest of the movie, I really
one thing that
say.
really got the writing. Hurt.
We're gonna jump into spoilers, even though this next part that I'm immediately gonna say is in trailers and stuff like that. But where he's talking to the guy in the bodega and he's like got him by the neck and he's like, "You're gonna be a turd in the wind."
Oh God,
that is the perfect example of how bad the writing is.
And that
right?
He's holding him. He's like, "What are you?" Like the meme section, and it was like. Venom, he seemed to... Okay, in this movie, in the writing, Venom seemed one of two things, or both of these things for me. Too comical, for one. Yeah, he's comical, but not, like, to that extent, and not, like, repetitively so much.
Yeah, he's not a comedic character.
Yeah, one or two, that's it. He's comedic, I feel like, just because he's a Spider-Man character, and he's dealt with Spider-Man, and he does stuff like that.
That's fine, yeah.
Yeah, but not to the extent they did in the movie. And then two... Wow, that first part was so bad. I just lost my train of thought.
Yeah. I get what you mean by that, for sure. I mean, you kind of need to pick and deal with it. The reason why I feel like it was that way, and this actually comes into story stuff later on that I hated. I mean, it still brings my blood to a boil, is this film was made by Sony. This film is also supposed to be focusing on an anti-hero. And so at least what I'm gathering is Sony has been looking at Deadpool, for instance, and he's an anti-hero, so he can do things that most other superheroes can't, and that draws in people. People are interested because it's not, Captain America doing the same thing. It's an anti-hero, so different rules. The problem is that they said, you know what, we can drop this down to PG-13, get away with it if we can, and then we'll appeal to a younger generation and still draw people in. And the problem is that now you just lost all of the older people because Venom is supposed to be eating people. It's supposed to be, and we did get that one scene where the guy is getting killed by the blue one, which is, it's not anti-Venom. I can't remember which one it is. Toxin? I think it's Toxin.
I can't remember.
Yeah, they changed the colors, if I remember right. Toxin used to be yellow, now he's blue. I might be totally wrong. So, but the issue is that you've got Sony trying to do this and trying to push for this type of idea,
but they're taking away the only thing that like lets them do that.
Exactly.
They had deaths and stuff like that.
But I mean, most of them were action off camera,
scenes, but off. Yep.
PG-13, so there's only so much blood in it. You can't show people, like Deadpool 2. Spoiler alert: he's getting ripped in half.
Yeah.
That's visceral, and yeah, sure, you don't need gore in a movie, but it helps.
But that's the character Venom in. That's how he's funny.
Don't tell.
Yeah.
Show me that. You don't have to, CGI the hell out of it.
Yeah, we eat heads. And, they said that, 8 times.
Yeah. We don't need to eat people. It's show me. I want to see you eat somebody. Yeah. I don't believe that you're eating people.
Don't say we don't need to eat people. Just be like, why did I do that? Or we shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. You don't need to give us that exposition. And yeah, sure, it's not a whole block of exposition, but it's just, a little quip that you don't need. Say something else. Say why did we do that?
So I did enjoy the parts where they're talking to each other, except half of them were comedic.
Well, this gets into something that I wanted to bounce back to in terms of story and how the script stuff wasn't good. If you notice throughout the film, Venom hates Earth. Venom's going to kill everybody on Earth.
And then, boom.
And then all of a sudden, they come out of the forest and they're looking down at the launch tower, right? And then suddenly he's like, "What? You want to stop Riot?"
He's like, "Yes.
Yeah,
I like Earth.
I want to stop him. I want to kill Earth by myself. I like Earth. I like you, and I like the girl." And it's like, whoa,
Yeah,
like
his
time
character
out.
changed
Where
so
did
fast.
this come from? I felt like there was 15, 20 minutes of the movie that I had just missed, and I didn't go to the bathroom. I wish I would have, because maybe, would have gotten something
But
more out of the movie.
even when
then.
he had his goal of we're gonna destroy Earth, he still has that like he's still helping Eddie, and he's like, oh,
Yeah,
go talk to the girl, and
which is part of the anti-hero thing.
it's
It's doing the right thing, but for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And I get that. But
that
you gotta
worked,
build
and
to
then
it.
he immediately just switched. Just I like Earth nice.
Well, at the end, he's still like, yeah, I want to eat people and all that, but we got to eat the right people to get away with it.
Yeah.
Right. And I get that. That's fine. You can do that. But it switched so fast.
Yep.
And it just came out of nowhere. So I really feel like, that's definitely something that stands out to me as like a big reason why I just can't stand the idea of this film.
The ending kind of spoiler territory. I guess now we're gonna
still.
The ending kind of upset me too. Like they were like, no, you need to stay here, and then she's like, the next scene you see her, she's back.
Yeah.
So that time little thing there. Okay. She picks up Eddie. They're driving in the car, and Eddie's like, yeah, this, blah, 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 blah. And then she's like, oh, so the sound waves hurt him. It's like his kryptonite.
Yeah,
She used the reference kryptonite.
I heard her say that, which means that either comic books exist in this world and DC is a comic book series in the Marvel Universe.
Or this is in the DC Universe.
Or this is the DC Universe. Am I going to put that much thought into it? No.
No, but the fact that she said it, I was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it kind of like, I totally forgot about that completely. Yeah. But yeah, that broke my focus for a minute where I went, is that even legal for them to say?
Yeah,
like,
I was thinking about it.
Like, and
it just ruined that section.
It took me out of the movie,
Yep.
and I said, like, then I realized that I was watching Venom, and then I, had to settle in again.
And then, same with her character at least. They're fighting on the spaceship or whatever, and she uses the frequency.
Yeah,
and then they both fall, and then they're fighting again. She doesn't use it again.
Yeah, she uses it the once, and that's about it. But I mean, I guess it's one of those things where I guess she
left or moved or something, but it just
it's either that or she used it only once because she saw that they were fighting and Eddie wasn't going to get out of it. Like Wright was definitely going to win in this moment. Like he had him in a headlock.
No, but she knows what would happen because Eddie's head isn't in Venom's head for one.
Well, yeah,
but two, last time she used that frequency, it left Eddie. That's all that happened.
Yeah, and she knew that it would leave him as well. Like she knew that that would probably kick the symbiotes off of them, and it kind of like reset their fight, so to speak, where the symbiotes are off, and it put them back at a ground level. Like Riot was definitely winning, probably going to kill Venom.
Yeah.
And so then it switched back. One thing that I do want to say, just to kind of like cap off what I hated, you've got a hero, right? What color is Venom?
Black.
Yeah, and CGI black at that. And when do we see Venom throughout the film? What time of day is it? Always.
Night.
It's nighttime, so it's hard to tell exactly what the hell's going on in the movie because
Didn't think about that.
There's no contrast, so it's just blurs, and the CGI just isn't enough to save.
In the comic books, he's been like dark navy blue and like different colors of that, but like
change him a little bit, shoot him in lighter shots or something like that, or just have lighter.
In a movie, it's fairly easy to do.
Yeah, I mean, just put a white wall behind him. It can still be dark out, but just put something.
I think
light.
That was a big thing. Like when we look at movies or when we watch movies, we look at angles, we look at colors. Not super in depth, but enough to be like, oh, hey, I noticed that.
I mean, you can either look at it.
I didn't see any of that.
You can either look at it subconsciously or you can look at it actively. And looking at it actively, there's nothing. There's no finesse. That's probably the best way to say it.
There was no like character development or anything with the camera angles. It was just, hey, we gotta shoot this guy because he's doing this thing.
It's flat. That's all it is. And that motorcycle scene went on for too goddamn long. I'll tell you that much.
Yes, the motorcycle when he's running and
Do 5 minutes of it. That's fine. Don't do 10 goddamn minutes of him on a motorcycle running away from the same people. It's
the same dodges, same.
I got halfway through that and he's sliding under an 18-wheeler or something like that. I'm like, can we fucking be done with this, please? Black Panther, good example. Very quick little chase scene. We're done. Thanks. It
was good.
Move on. So I'm guessing you didn't like it as much as, or I guess you didn't like it as much as I didn't like it.
It's watchable. I'll put it that. It's watchable.
Yeah.
It's an action movie.
I didn't walk out.
Yeah. I agree.
That's the biggest praise that I can give Venom. I didn't walk out.
I didn't like the ending where he was so giddy. Venom was so giddy inside of Eddie, and then it almost seemed like Eddie was the one like controlling, like, hey, no, we're gonna like Eddie was the it's always supposed to be Venom supposed to be taking over.
You can be a bad person and still be excited. And Venom was definitely excited to he has control of the planet now. Like he can start eating whoever he wants, but Eddie's there and Eddie's like, no, that's not exactly how this works.
I feel like there's a better way to do that relationship. I didn't like how it was almost like he's a dog and Eddie's like controlling his dog. That ending kind of.
You have no leash to Venom. Now, if you established that you have a leash to Venom,
there needs to be a leash.
Then that's that. I mean, technically, I guess Eddie could kick him off whenever. Like he can kick off Venom and say, like, put him in a box.
I guess so.
And now Venom's screwed. But I mean, it's just one of those things where, you got to establish that for sure.
Overall, watch it for its Venom.
Yeah, that's about it. If you want to watch something superhero related, just turn it on. I mean, but you're not gonna. Ain't no depth to it, that's for sure.
Then not much.
So, all right. Well, I think that just about wraps it up.
That's it.